The Messenger's Long Neck. Welcome back to Kim Tells Tales, where every story has a lesson. So come closer, little one. Let me tell you a story. Far beyond the great desert, where the hot sand stretched farther than the eye could see, lived another animal village. One day, an important messenger was sent to deliver a special message to the village across the desert. The messenger was Ostrich. He hurried across the burning sand without stopping for long rests. The message was important, and he wanted to reach the village as quickly as possible. By the time he finally arrived, his legs were aching, his eyes were heavy, and he could hardly keep them open. The animals gathered beneath the great marula tree to welcome their visitor. Tortoise, the wise village leader, thanked Ostrich for traveling such a great distance. "You must be exhausted," Tortoise said kindly. "You must rest here beneath our marula tree before we discuss your message." The villagers spread soft grass beneath the tree, and before long, Ostrich had curled himself down and drifted into a deep sleep. Soon, the village children wandered over. None of them had ever seen a bird so tall. "My goodness," whispered young Zebra. "Look how long his neck is," giggled little Warthog. Among the children were Meerkat's two tiny youngsters. They were much smaller than all the other children. The curious children carefully touched Ostrich's neck. Instead of waking up, Ostrich opened one sleepy eye and smiled. "If you'd like," he yawned, "you may slide down my neck." The children squealed with excitement. One after the other, they climbed carefully and slid all the way down his long neck. Even the tiny meerkat children took turns, laughing louder than anyone else. Soon, the other children heard splashing from the nearby river. "Come on," they shouted. "Let's go play by the water." Everyone ran off, except the two little meerkat children. They loved the neck slide so much that they stayed behind. Ostrich was simply too tired. Before long, his eyes closed again. The little meerkats had been playing all morning. They yawned. They curled up beneath Ostrich's large feathered wing where it was warm and shady. Within moments, all three were fast asleep. As afternoon arrived, Mother Meerkat looked around. "My babies?" She searched the river. She searched the huts. She searched the berry bushes. But the little ones were nowhere to be found. Her voice became more worried with every passing minute. Soon, the entire village joined the search. Elephant searched around the watering hole. Impala checked the tall grass. Zebra looked between the acacia trees. Warthog searched behind the termite mounds. Even Lion quietly walked through the village calling the little meerkats names. Only Monkey did not help. He stretched himself comfortably across a thick branch high in a marula tree, lazily munching on wild berries while watching everyone rush from one place to another. "Such a busy day," he said with a yawn. Someone glanced towards the sleeping ostrich beneath the marula tree. "What if the children are nearby?" whispered Impala. Tortoise gently shook his head. "Our guest has crossed an entire desert to bring us an important message. He's exhausted. We must not disturb his rest." Everyone agreed. So they continued searching everywhere else. Monkey simply watched from his branch, swinging his tail and humming to himself. As the golden sun began to sink toward the horizon, Ostrich slowly woke up. He stretched his long legs, he spread his great wings. He gave a long, sleepy yawn. "It is time for me to continue my journey," he said. Just then, two tiny heads popped out from beneath his warm feathered wing. The little meerkat children rubbed their eyes and stretched after their long nap. For a moment, the whole village stood in stunned silence. Then Mother Meerkat cried with joy, "My babies!" She rushed over and hugged them tightly as everyone burst into relieved laughter. Monkey casually climbed down from his tree, wearing a very proud smile. "I knew they were there all along," he announced. The entire village turned to stare at him. "You what?" asked Elephant. "You knew?" growled Lion. "Then why didn't you tell us?" asked Tortoise. Monkey shrugged and grinned. Because nobody asked me. The villagers looked at one another. Then Tortoise sighed. Monkey. Before Tortoise could finish, everyone burst into laughter. Even Mother Meerkat couldn't help laughing now that her little ones were safe. Monkey simply smiled, convinced he had done nothing wrong. That evening, after Ostrich had safely delivered his message and continued his journey across the desert, the village gathered beneath the marula tree. Mother Meerkat hugged her little ones tightly. Tortoise smiled and said, "Today reminds us of two important lessons. Never panic before looking carefully. And if you know something that can help others, don't wait to be asked." Monkey scratched his head. "I suppose next time I'll speak up." The animals laughed once more as the sun disappeared behind the African hills and the village grew quiet once again. The end. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the story with others.